Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions.
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example.
I like how KJP makes me feel. She gives me confidence that I could do that job. Former Biden Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre announced that she's writing a tell-all book about the Biden administration. In response, people are saying, thanks, but I just wanted a Big Mac.
She was unaware that she would be in the midst of a roast when she entered that press briefing, with Karoline Leavitt dousing her, with Petro and Greg Gutfeld letting the match. Karine Jean-Pierre was giving her typical spin 1 minute, and next she was being smoldering from every angle. And it's clear that Karine was never suited for this position after seeing how Karoline now controls that platform. Gutfeld was a chef as well as a critic. He used every hot phrase in his repertoire, and it was a full-scale satirical smokeout rather than a takedown. Hold on tight if you've ever wondered what happens when a comedian's fiery wit collides with a press secretary spin. This roast made headlines for years to come.
All right, so Karine Jean-Pierre wrote a book, and her fans are already sharpening their crayons. And it's just what we need, a tell-all from the woman who spent 2 years telling everyone that Joe just had a cold and not rigor mortis. If the title hadn't already been taken, it should be called Art of the Steal.
Every day, Karine Jean-Pierre walks into the press briefing room. If she were the lead in Deflect, Distract, and Derail, the tap dancing years, a one-woman Broadway play, the only issue is that there isn't any choreography. All you have are flashcards, an empty binder, and the elegance of a sock puppet trying to host Jeopardy!
JP also says she's leaving the Democratic Party. I say God bless her. Not many people have the patience to wait in a line that long. In her book, she says the White House was broken. This after 2 years along a president who wasn't housebroken. But she only realized this after she stopped getting paid to defend it. But like Jake Tapper's book, it's a new genre of Biden tell-alls that should be subtitled, I had no idea because I'm severely retarded.
By now, it's like seeing a cat try the backstroke messy, useless, and full of desperate, flailing followed by complete denial when you watch her distort facts. Greg Gutfeld only needed to roll his eyes at her. It was enough to make her go out like a Dollar Tree candle in a hot light. This was a slow-burning mercy roast, not a discussion.
So now she realizes she was carrying water for a man whose brain was as wet as his pants. Remember, this is the same broad who stared America in the face and said this.
Comments were made in that report about that, obviously about his memory that we don't believe lives in reality. 80's the new 40, didn't you hear? He is as sharp as ever. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith. And it's not true, right? The president wasn't wandering.
Is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job day to day?
Absolutely not. He's the president of the United States. I can't even keep up with him.
Let's be honest, John Karine, that robotic voice you hear when you contact customer service and yell representative 5 times before giving up in defeat, is Pierre's human counterpart. She is the equivalent of running every red light in rush hour in politics. She evokes the ghost of prior evasions when you ask her a direct question, and her response recurs like a dog frantically chasing its own tail.
Was she too dumb to notice Biden was a mess, or was she just dishonest? Pick your poison, moron or mercenary. Now there's a great name for her book. I'm going with mercenary, because this whole book tour didn't spring from a burst of guilt. According to Politico, she was copying her publicist on emails while still press secretary. So she was planning this from the podium. She's like a pilot who puts on his parachute and oxygen mask while your plane's leaving the airport.
And thanks to Greg Gutfeld, who arrived with nothing but a functional frontal lobe and razor-sharp sarcasm, 2 things that make Karine completely restart Windows XP. She has the urgency of a DMV clerk midway through a meatball sub and the accuracy of a broken weather app when it comes to providing accurate information.
So this wasn't a crisis of faith, it was a business plan. She didn't leave the Democrat Party. She managed her exit like Pelosi dumping stocks before she signs the corporate tax hike. She was even pining for a spot on The View, which is like angling for the best seat in a garbage truck. But she didn't get the gig, probably because she refused their lunch bucket of thawed mackerel. That's what you feed the talent at SeaWorld.
Credit where it's due. If evasion were an Olympic event, Karine would outswim Michael Phelps. Gutfeld didn't need to go scorched earth, just one spark and her whole routine burned like a stack of dry press briefings. No fact check required, just check if her sentences ever connect. Spoiler, they don't. Gutfeld needed nothing but a grin and a few side eyes. Before long, Karine might as well have quoted SpongeBob. It was like explaining crypto to a ficus spearer. Confusion for everyone after months of mixing inflation with border policy, climate change, or whatever today's cue card says. You'd expect a new plan. No sane playlist, deflect, blame, buzzwords, pray no one follows up. She's basically a live-action Magic 8-Ball with canned phrases. Gutfeld's bit didn't need punchlines, she provided them. For someone paid to communicate, she has the expressive range of a toaster. Watching her answer is like watching a hamster wrestle a Rubik's Cube, chaotic, pointless, and exhausting.
Now, even the most reliable lefties are roasting her, but it serves him right. After all, she was their pick, a historic first. Black, lesbian, and board certified by visiting angels. But you know it's bad when DC operatives call it a grift. Hell, that's like Taylor Swift calling you a 6. But they say that she was ineffectual, unprepared, needed to be coddled, and couldn't manage a team. What's that sound like? DEI. What happens when you hire someone based on identity and not merit?
Let's not act like this is some shocking twist. Karine Jean-Pierre has been dodging responsibility since day one. If she got any more evasive, witness protection would label her not my job. Her prep probably involves stapling charts together, like she's at TEDx Confusion while adjusting glasses for effect. And that binder so big it deserves its own congressional district opens like the back of a shampoo bottle, technical, unclear, and unrelated to anything real. Gutfeld probably thought she was auditioning as a truck stop librarian. The real comedy, her statements parody themselves. She's claimed the border is secure, the economy is thriving even as grocery aisles look like luxury showrooms and gas prices require a prayer. Reality to her isn't something she reports, it's just a vague acquaintance she waves at from behind layers of spin.
Personally, I think what was the toughest thing to see in the 3 weeks was there was a disconnect for me. What was happening with leadership in the Democratic Party and how it was truly, as my former colleague, communications director Ben LeBold said, it was a firing squad, and I had never seen anything like it before.
And the excuse is endless. Nothing is ever her fault. If a meteor hit DC, Karine would probably blame climate change, white supremacy, the Supreme Court, and Greg Gutfeld's eyebrows probably in that order. Watching her deflect is like catching a toddler drawing on the wall and hearing, the crayon did it. Gutfeld didn't need to interrupt. He just let her unravel, layer by tangled layer, into a word salad dense enough to make a vegan cry. Eventually, you don't argue, you just hand her the rope and wait for the swing set to collapse. The best part, she still thinks she's winning. Sis, you don't even own your binder. Each tab is another chapter in how not to be a press secretary. She could publish it 50 Shades of Spin. Gutfeld didn't even need volume, he treated it like late-night comedy because that's exactly what it was. Karine is the only one who can turn a yes or no question into a 3-part miniseries nobody asked for. Her answers loop so badly even Google Maps would say, "You're on your own," that smug confidence like reading a memo qualifies as crisis management is impossible to miss.
The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has.
There's a word for that. Pathological.
Her expression says, "I've got this," while her answers scream error 400 for policy not found. Greg didn't need brutal facts. She folded under her own baffling wordplay. At one point, she explained inflation with a kitchen table metaphor as if soaring costs were best tackled with preschool story time. Little Timmy can't afford juice must be the Republicans. Cute. Now try explaining why gas costs as much as premium therapy. Gutfeld just sat back, grinning like he was watching a magician drop cards over and over. And honestly, who could blame him? Every sentence of hers is like a firework of failure, loud, colorful, and utterly empty. She's no press secretary now. She's an excuse secretary. The whole strategy? Talk in endless loops and hope we forget the question and credit where it's due. Sometimes it works, mostly because we're left wondering if she's speaking English or reciting from a rejected political Mad Lib. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to communities and strength and equity and boxes and windows. She said, trying to summon Obama's gravitas, but sounding more like someone reading a cereal box with Oscar-worthy drama.
She says we need to stop thinking in boxes. But as a black, lesbian, French, Haitian female, she checks more boxes than a gynecologist.
On the order form!
On the order form!
Oh my God!
All those applications you gotta fill out.
That's the thing.
Would you think I meant vaginas?
Ew.
Disgusting people. But now everyone says she's incompetent and lazy. You know, after they called me racist for saying that. That's not why I'm racist.
Nope.
Next question. Gutfeld didn't bring fire, he brought a mirror, and the reflection was brutal. If incompetence had a face, it'd be hers, complete with that odd smile she flashes whenever someone mentions immigration, Ukraine, or anything needing an actual answer. The saddest part, she genuinely thinks it's going well, like the string quartet on the Titanic, smiling and spinning as credibility sinks beneath the waves. While she patched whole breaches with glitter and hope, Gutfeld just stood there pointing at the lifeboats, laughing, and the press corps just nodding along like her verbal Jenga wasn't collapsing right in front of them every 20 seconds. Just hand Gutfeld a Karine clip and step back. He doesn't need a podium or a partner. The comedy takes care of itself. Karine's crisis management is basically pressing Ctrl-Alt-Delete and praying for a reboot. Criticism, she ducks, deflects, and treats it like incoming fire. Whenever she wants to sound bold, she shuffles. We stand firmly committed like she's playing fridge magnet Scrabble with the thesaurus. She's real-life buffering, ask a question, wait 7 seconds, and brace for a spinning wheel of vague generalities. Gutfeld didn't roast her, she showed up pre-toasted, marshmallows in hand, soaked in lighter fluid. If this administration were a sitcom, Karine would be the character who walks in with confusing exposition, then trips over the coffee table. And Gutfeld, he's not just the laugh track. He's live, unscripted, and doesn't need editing to hit punchlines. This isn't political theater anymore, it's karaoke night in purgatory, and Karine keeps choosing the same off-key ballad, forgetting the lyrics halfway through. Each press briefing is a choose-your-own disaster written by someone allergic to conclusions. Karine arrived already clowned. Gutfeld just tilted the spotlight and let the juggling act collapse. No rehearsal required. She's not spinning facts, she's tossing them into a blender and hoping the noise buys her time. This isn't ideology versus ideology, it's competence versus confusion, and Karine brings the political skill of a potato in a tuxedo. She may dress the part, but this isn't a press briefing. It's a live demonstration of what happens when performance meets paralysis. Gutfeld didn't take her down, he just lifted the curtain on her greatest illusion, pretending she still had credibility to burn. It wasn't a takedown, it was a funeral, with a coffin stuffed full of answers she never gave. By now, Her briefings are surrealist performances, half-truths, twisted metaphors, riddles that could send a fortune cookie into therapy. Ask about the border? You get infrastructure monologues. Inflation? Suddenly, it's about lemon farming and equity. By the time she finishes, the audience is eligible for Medicare and the original questions a fossil. And yet she speaks with TEDx-level confidence, as if she just brought the house down. That's what broke Gutfeld, not her incompetence, but the pride she drops like a mic. He didn't destroy her, he just revealed that after so many implosions, there wasn't anything left to burn.